Let's go back in time, to the early days of humankind, when people lived in wild nature, where every storm, every dry season could take away everything they had. They hunted, they gathered, but hunger and thirst were always close. Then they learned how to grow crops. They harvested their first seeds. But how could they keep the food through the cold winter? How could they protect the food from wild animals, insects, rain, and wind? At that moment, with their clever hands and creative minds, they found a way. Simple but amazing. A handful of clay, a little water, a fire. And the first clay pot was born. That small thing quietly made a big change. It not only helped them store food, but also became the foundation of human civilization. So why was pottery so powerful? Where did this story begin? About 10,000 years ago, humans reached a big turning point, the age of agriculture. In the rich land of Mesopotamia, where the Tigris and Euphrates rivers flow, or in the legendary Nile River Valley, people learned to grow wheat, millet, and lentils for the first time. Also in the Yellow River Valley of China, people started planting millet and sticky rice early. The first harvests brought enough food, but after only one season, they saw a big problem appear in front of them. They had food, but how could they keep it for a long time? Having extra food seemed like good luck, but in fact, it was a life-or-death challenge. Storms, floods, and strong winds could easily destroy the storage made from grass, wood, or leaves. Not to mention rats, ants, and insects. They could sneak in through even a small hole and ruin everything. The food became moldy. Seeds couldn't be saved for the next season. When the food stores were gone, the whole community faced hunger. It wasn't just dangerous for survival, it also stopped them from building long-term settlements. So finding a safe way to store food became the most important need. No storage, no next harvest. No storage. People had to keep moving, living a nomadic life, always at risk of hunger. But what solution was strong enough, long-lasting enough, to fight against harsh nature and the damage from insects and wild animals? At that moment, our ancestors began to notice a familiar resource, right under their feet. Along the big rivers, where people built their villages, there were many layers of soft brown clay. When the sun shined, the clay became hard. When mixed with water, they could shape it into anything. One day, they accidentally put clay near fire and discovered something amazing. After heating, the clay became hard like stone. It didn't absorb water and didn't break easily. From there, the idea of making clay pots and jars was born. A dry, sealed clay pot could protect food from rain, sun, and insects. It kept seeds safe through the winter. Thanks to this, people could store food, survive bad harvests, and face harsh weather. Not only that, the ability to store food for a long time allowed communities to keep extra food, trade, and exchange. This helped build the first strong civilizations. From Mesopotamia, Egypt, to ancient China, all show the same truth. Pottery is the invention that helped humans enter a stable, rich era. But how did people invent pottery-making techniques? What made them turn soft clay into masterpieces that last thousands of years? That journey began with their hands and fire. About 9,000 years before Christ, in the area we now call the Middle East, the first pottery jars appeared. Ancient people discovered that riverbank clay, a soft and flexible material under their hands, could be shaped into any form they wanted. At first, they used their bare hands to shape the clay. The clay was dried under the sun, then placed near fire to harden. But later, they realized something important. Firing the clay in strong fire at high heat made the pottery jars stronger, waterproof, and better able to resist weather. These simple clay jars were not just containers. They became a revolution in human life. Precious seeds, food after harvest, or drinking water, all were safely stored inside the hard pottery. Insects could not destroy them. Rain and moisture could not spoil the rice or millet seeds. Because of this, Food could last through the dry season, and seeds were enough to plant for the next season. Not only used for storage, ancient people quickly realized pottery could also be used for cooking, boiling water, keeping oil, wine, and medicine. In Mesopotamia, archaeologists found pottery pieces from around 7000 BC, many used to store grains. In the Nile River Valley, ancient Egyptians made thousands of pottery jars to store olive oil, honey, and wine, all very valuable at that time. And in ancient China, cultures like Yangshao and Hemudu, from about 5000 BC, already used pottery to hold water and food. Each pottery jar was not just a tool, but also showed human skill and creativity. And from those hands shaping the clay, humans laid the first brick for rich and powerful civilizations. Not only used for storage, pottery also started a revolution in cooking and food preparation. Around 3000 BC, in ancient Egypt, people used clay pots and bowls to cook stews and bake bread. The heat resistance and heat-keeping quality of pottery helped food cook evenly and kept its flavor and nutrition. In ancient China, during the Shang and Zhou dynasties, from 1600 to 256 BC, pottery was made into many types of pots, pans, bowls, and plates in different sizes. These items were used for cooking in homes and also for royal ceremonies. Even in ancient Greece, around the 6th century BC, the Greeks used amphora jars and clay pots to cook and store olive oil and wine, famous products of the Mediterranean region. The way pottery spreads heat evenly and keeps the original taste of food made it an important part of human kitchens for thousands of years. Even until today, pottery was not just a daily tool. It also played an important role in rituals and beliefs of many ancient civilizations. In ancient Egypt, around 3000 BC, people often used large clay jars to hold oil, wine, and perfumes as offerings to gods like Ra and Osiris. These jars were not plain. They were decorated with sacred symbols to show respect to the gods. In ancient China during the Shang dynasty, from 1600 to 1046 BC, pottery was carefully made for important ceremonies to worship heaven and earth. Many clay jars, pots, and cups were also buried with nobles in their tombs. This showed their belief in life after death. In the Mediterranean region, the ancient Greeks often decorated pottery with pictures of gods and heroes. They used these pots in religious ceremonies and funerals to keep ashes and valuable items for the dead. From the east to the west, pottery became a sacred object, closely connected to people's spiritual life and beliefs for thousands of years. Pottery was not only useful in daily life, but also became special works of art. It showed the culture, beauty, and thinking of each civilization. In ancient Greece, 8th to 4th century BC, pots were used to store oil and wine, but they were also decorated with lively hand-painted pictures. These pictures told myths about gods like Zeus, Athena, and Hercules. Each pot was like a small piece of history. In China, from the Tang dynasty, from 618 to 907, to the Song dynasty, from 960 to 1279, craftsmen improved pottery into fine porcelain. They made beautiful glazes, like jade glaze and blue-white glaze, famous around the world. The designs showed flowers, landscapes, dragons, and phoenixes in a delicate way. These decorations reflected Eastern spirit and ideas about the universe and nature. In ancient Rome, pottery was not only used in daily life, but also carved with complex patterns. People used these decorated pottery pieces to beautify palaces and noble villas. Even in Japan during the Edo period, from 1603 to 1868, pottery art developed its own unique style. Potters created special crackled glazed ceramics that were delicate and beautiful. Each piece of pottery, each pattern on it, tells a cultural story and reflects the mark of each era and region. Besides their role in storage, cooking, or decoration, Pottery also laid the foundation for construction in ancient civilizations. From around 3000 BCE, the people of Mesopotamia used clay to create fired bricks, building grand structures. A famous example is the walls of Babylon, made from millions of fired bricks stacked firmly, standing strong for thousands of years. In ancient Egypt, clay bricks mixed with straw, known as mud bricks, were commonly used to build houses and walls surrounding city areas. In China, from the Qin and Han dynasties, from 221 BCE to 220 CE, fired clay bricks and tiles were used to build city walls, palaces, and temples. The curved, flowing roof tiles became a hallmark of traditional Chinese architecture. Bricks and tiles made from fired clay were not only durable and easy to produce, but also helped keep buildings cool in the summer and warm in the winter. It was thanks to the application of ceramics in construction materials that humans were able to build sturdy structures that have stood the test of time throughout history. Beyond the borders of each region, ceramics also became valuable goods, widely traded, and helping to connect ancient civilizations. Around the 2nd century BCE, when the Silk Road was established, ceramic jars, pots, and plates from China began to travel thousands of kilometers. They followed camel caravans across deserts, reaching as far as Persia, Rome, and Europe. Chinese ceramics during the Tang and Song dynasties became famous for their glossy glaze and intricate patterns. Western merchants highly prized them and were willing to pay high prices to own such pieces. In the Mediterranean region, Greek and Roman pottery was also exported widely, from North Africa to Western Europe. Many Roman ceramic jars have even been discovered in present-day Britain, proving the vibrancy of ancient trade. Ceramics were not only useful items, but also cultural and economic bridges, helping civilizations exchange and learn from one another through every traded piece. Throughout thousands of years of history, ceramics have retained their value, serving as vivid witnesses of the past. From shards of pottery unearthed in Mesopotamia, Egypt, Greece, and China, archaeologists have gradually uncovered the mysteries of ancient life, beliefs, and trade. Every pattern and shape on each fragment tells the story of a civilization that once existed. Not only confined to the past, the influence of ceramics continues to spread to the present day. We still use ceramics for cooking, decoration, and construction. Artisans around the world continue to preserve and create ceramic products rich in local cultural identity. Ceramics symbolize creativity, resilience, and the connection among people throughout history. From the simple need to store food in ancient times to exquisite works of art, ceramics have helped shape the face of civilizations. From soft clay, our ancestors molded an entire enduring civilization. What do you think? Can a seemingly simple invention change the world? If you love exploring fascinating stories about history and human civilization, don't forget to like and subscribe to Leos English channel, so you won't miss the next videos.